Hello. My name is Kim Addis, and I'm the president and founder of Frame of Mind Coaching. And you have just joined the Frame of Mind Coaching podcast, where we invite leaders from across the world to join us to get coached live and in person right on the podcast. Today, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you a guest from the UK. Her name is Louise Johnstone. Welcome, Louise.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
I'm so excited. I mean, we've been trying to get this going for a few good weeks, and finally we're here. And for just so that the audience knows, this is our first ever conversation, ever. We've never spoken before in person.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So as I get to know Louise, the audience will get to know you too. So we're excited to get to know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you doing? Where are you? What's up? Give us a little scoop.
So I am in Dundee, Scotland.
Okay.
My professional employment is as a personal trainer, physical activity specialist. I work predominantly with women and just basically help them to achieve their goals, be the best that they can be, achieve the goals that they kind of think are a little bit way out their comfort zone, if you like, whatever helps them to live the healthiest and fittest life that they can and they want to.
Okay.
So that's Perfect. Me on a professional level, if you like.
And on personally?
Personally, I run a lot. I like sport, exercise, as a personal trainer would. But, I love being in nature. I take on some challenges for kind of fundraising and awareness raising strategy, if you like. So I utilise those as a vehicle to raise conversations around fundraising topics that I'm working on, if you like.
Okay. I want to delve into that in a minute, but before we do that, just give us a little bit of a setting. You've been a personal trainer for how long?
Oh goodness, what year are we on? 2020.
Nobody can forget.
Coming up for 12 years.
12 years, okay. And just on a personal level, married, divorced, kids, anything?
Single.
No, you're on your own.
Yes, I'm single with the large cat you've just seen, Cheeky.
Single with a cat, okay. And a huge cat, okay. All right, so you were alluding to doing some fundraisers.
Yes.
So, and I understand that part of what you want to talk today about is exactly that. How do you make a bigger impact? So tell us about the fundraiser you're working on right now.
So the fundraiser I'm working on at the moment is called, or I've named it, #2021 Run North Sea.
Okay.
Basically involved
2021 Run North Sea.
Yes, all one word.
Okay. Got it.
It basically involves me running 3,455.5 miles around 7 countries.
Sorry. Say that in Canadian English. 3,000 what?
So 3,455
miles?
Miles.
0.5.
Well, the half's important once you've run all the rest of them.
It really is. Okay. Holy smokes, that's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
Okay, and why this amount?
So it's a pre-existing route, as it were. So the North Sea route is a cycle route. It's the largest cycle route in Europe. So basically, it's a pre-existing route that I'm using so that I don't get lost, essentially.
Okay, good idea. Okay, and how long will it take you to run that amount of miles?
I'm going to do it in 100 days.
100 days, wow. And so translate that for me. Are you, you're sleeping every night? And is that in a tent, in a hotel? What does that actually look like?
Okay, so the idea being I will start in let's say I start at location A. I will run, say, part of the distance, have lunch in a town or a city, and then I will then run on to the final location for the day, which will be B. So we run from A to B. Ideally, I will either sleep. I'm going to carry a bivy bag. So I'll either sleep in the bivy bag, so a bit like tent, or somebody will be supporting me and they will provide me with a bed, or maybe I'll be staying in a B&B if I need to. It depends whether it's a rest day or an active day. So I will take every 7th day will be a rest day.
Every 7th day. So you're running every single day for 6 days.
Yeah.
And then if we look at the day, how long is a day? What time do you start in the morning? What time do you finish at night?
That's going to be completely flexible. So that's basically, it will depend on the day, if you like. So for example, if the weather is super hot, I might decide to start earlier. Or if the weather's really rubbish, I might still start earlier so I can finish earlier. Or it might be that I push my start back a little bit later. So the start and finish is a bit more flexible.
But approximately on any given day, are you running 2 hours or you're running 8 hours?
Oh, I'll be running probably, so if you approximate about 4 hours for about 20 miles, give or take. And then, so I'll do about 4 hours in the morning, have lunch, 4 hours in the afternoon, roughly.
Wow. Okay. And have you ever done anything like this before?
No.
What's the longest amount you've run in any consecutive period of time?
So I have run the Marathon des Sables, which is 156 miles over 6 days in the Sahara Desert. And I have run, and then in one go, the most I've run is 95.
Wow. Okay. So this is a massive undertaking.
Yes.
Okay. So what are you going to do? And I know that we're supposed to talk about your challenge, but before we get there, because I'm really just fascinated, what are you going to do to keep your body from breaking?
That comes what you do in advance of the actual event itself. That comes down to your training, to your nutrition, to your recovery strategies that you'll put in place during the event. So a lot of that work has to come in before the event even takes place.
Okay. And I suppose while you're doing it, you still have to do some maintenance, like this, sleeping properly, eating properly, making sure you're hydrated. And
yes.
I don't know, it would be great to have a massage therapist by your side too while you're at it, right?
Well, that would be pretty awesome.
Okay. So you're running for a specific cause, for a purpose.
Yes.
Explain to us your cause.
So I want to raise the conversation around mental health, mental well-being. That's the primary cause.
Okay. And why is this your cause? Like, for me, it might be Alzheimer's because my mom had Alzheimer's. Why is this your cause?
I personally have had kind of like, I guess we could call it a lifelong battle with my own mental health.
Okay.
From depression. In the past, I have had issues with self-harm, and suicide experiences and stuff like that. So, but also, I come into contact with people who utilize exercise and physical activity to manage their stress levels, their mental well-being through exercise, as I just said, through my clients and through, my work as well. So it's what I experience and what I see on a personal level, but also on a professional level. Okay. And then when you look at the world around us, it just reinforces my feeling that this conversation needs to continue happening. I mean, lockdown and COVID-19 have brought mental illness to so many more people. Oh, and there she is. She likes to get in on a video. She loves a video.
She's a superstar.
She is. So, COVID-19 and lockdown have brought mental illness, or the experiences of what it's like to suffer a mental illness, to masses of the population, to a massive percentage of population worldwide. That whole experience of being isolated, of not feeling like you could talk about how you're feeling, of not being able to reach out in person to your friends, never knowing what's going to happen today or tomorrow, or in fact in the next hour. These are experiences that people with mental illness must overcome on a daily and weekly, monthly and lifelong basis. And that's sometimes caused by an event, or a situation, so it's situational, but often it's also as a result of, a chemical imbalance, so it's not necessarily through an external event, so I feel like now more than ever, we must continue to raise this conversation and demonstrate that this is a normal conversation to have.
So what you're really saying is that exercise, among maybe other tools, is a really powerful way to help people who struggle with some form of mental illness to cope a little bit better.
Yes.
Okay. So, and I want to jump into your challenge, but when you were struggling, and perhaps you're still struggling, but managing it better more now, when you were struggling with mental illness, things like suicidal thoughts, or maybe even an attempt, how did you bounce back from that? How did you recover? Who was around you? What did you do to come back from that experience or those thoughts?
Okay. So, like, just to clarify, I would say I still manage my mental health on an ongoing basis.
Okay.
It never feels like I'm quite there, and it's kind of more of a management strategy that I have in place, which is fine. But it means that I can live the life that I live. So that's okay. So in terms of how did I bounce back? Well, I've learned over the years to be aware of my strategies, my triggers rather than my strategies. And then when is the best time to utilize the strategies that I have in place, I also have a network, if you like, of friends who sometimes have to say, Louise, are you paying attention here? You're not noticing things. So, I have a multi-layer effect of strategies, as it were. So,
right.
some kick in a bit quicker and some take a little bit longer to kick in. But physical activity, exercise, sport have always played a massive part in my mental health from when I was in school. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it's not until I started some reflection, looking back over the years, that I actually appreciated that it really did play a massive part, not only on my mental health, but, if I look at it from a self-esteem perspective, it made me feel better about me.
Sure.
And yes, that's tied in with our mental health, but that then gave me some self-confidence, to push myself in certain scenarios, and it bolsters you a lot. So sometimes we don't think about what physical activity or exercise or even sport do for us in terms of it helped my mental health. Sometimes it helps us because it helps us to feel like we have achievement or we can achieve things,
So what you're really saying is that exercise not only boosts your immunity and gives you endorphins and all that stuff, but it also has a larger impact than that it makes you feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more like we've achieved something. So therefore it altogether, it's like a bit of a snowball effect, that it's really a powerful tool to help us feel better all around about ourselves, about life, stronger, and our view of the world is a little bit brighter.
Yes.
Okay, so let's bring you to today. What is your greatest challenge? Like, you're on this podcast to get a little bit of coaching. How can I help you today?
So sometimes the biggest challenge that I face is that people don't necessarily buy into the idea that physical activity or exercise or even this challenge, is worth getting involved in.
Okay, so there's no buy-in. Your challenge is to get more people to buy in to the idea that exercise is worthwhile.
Yes.
For the purpose of mental health, or
yes.
Just period?
Well, period, because physical activity, exercise, sport, they can help everybody.
Okay, I believe you. I'm 100% bought in, but how do I demonstrate buy-in to you? So when you say they haven't bought in, what is it that you're looking for them to do, to say, to respond in order for you to believe they have buy-in?
So what I've been trying to do is get more people to engage with the challenge by potentially circulating around, let's say, for example, a school or a business. They can sign up to or they can choose to participate in a kind of virtual run North Sea.
Okay. So what you're trying to get people to do is join you on the challenge somehow.
Yes.
Okay. And you want them to do what? Run?
They can do any kind of physical activity. So it can be walk, run, cycle, kayak, swim, anything you can measure.
Yeah.
In terms of distance, for example. Like you can use a watch, you can use your phone, you can use, let's stop at that.
Okay. Steps.
Yes, steps. That's a great example.
Right.
You can use anything to contribute to covering a distance over a virtual run North Sea. And you can do that, and the idea is to do it as part of a team. So, for example, different year groups may take on different year groups within their school as a bit of a competition.
Right. And so you're finding that there's resistance to getting people physically engaged.
Not even just physically, just to think that this is a good idea to get people to take it back to their school, their business, their organisation.
And do you think that the resistance is because of COVID, or what do you think the resistance is really about?
I don't think it's COVID. So, for example, some of the statements I've come across is, some of the statements that I have had back to me have been, I don't think this is right for my team, or I don't think my team can take this on. So that's a time issue. Time to give it the commitment.
Okay. Okay, got it. So you're frustrated. Now, are you also looking for people to fund your project? In other words, sponsors?
Yes, but that's a separate strategy.
Separate conversation.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell you something that happened to me as I was listening to your story, and I have been following you just recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel extremely compelled by you. There's something special about you, period, end of story. Something very, very special. And I saw that on some video I watched of you on Facebook a few weeks back, and I'm experiencing it even more now. However, when you tell me that you're going to run 3,000 whatever miles, I'm like, whoa. You see what I just did?
Yeah.
I physically moved back because I cannot relate. Okay, so in other words, you're in another zone. You're on another planet. Your goal is so far out of my realm of comprehension that it's not that I distance myself, but that's it. That connection somehow breaks.
Okay.
So here's the thing. You're looking for people to get involved in the conversation. And I think the conversation is extremely important. But you're trying to tap into something that's perhaps a little bit foreign and uncomfortable for them. So you're going to businesses and saying, hey, I want you to exercise. But that's not what businesses do as a group, right? Unless you're going to an exercise business, right? Mm-hmm. Businesses do what businesses do, whatever it is that they do. And so my suggestion is to think about how you might want to get them involved in ways that they're already involved. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say I'm sitting down, right? I'm sitting down, mm-hmm. I'm watching TV, I'm doing nothing. And you're like, okay, let's go. Let's run. And I'm like, I'm watching TV, right? Mm-hmm. But if you say to me, hey, I want you to watch a specific show. Well, I'm already watching TV, and watching a show isn't a great stretch. It's what I'm already doing. But now I'm engaging in your conversation in a place where I already am. Does that make sense to you at all?
Yes.
So if I were to engage young people, I might come up with a series of strategies. One might be to approach a sports team and say, hey, do you want to engage in sports? If they're playing football, let's put football on the table. But then I also might go to like a business class and say, hey, let's make this a social media project. And can what would it look like to make this something you're following on social media? So now they're engaged in the conversation. They're rooting you on. They're looking every day for 100 days to see how you're performing, whether or not you're tired. You're tuning in with them through, I don't know, Facebook Live things. Yeah. That's meeting them where they are. Because right now what you're trying to do is say, hey, I'm over here 3,000 miles away. Come meet me over here. And they're like, no, I'm sitting on my couch. And what I'm suggesting to you is to go join them on the couch.
Yeah.
Have the conversation where they are. If kids are on social media, go to social media. Get them involved there. If businesses are really great at, I don't know, if you're, getting involved in maybe hotels and they're giving you a place to stay for the night, get them involved in the conversation in the way that is easy for them to get involved. And right now, my sense, and I might be completely wrong, is that you're trying to get them involved in ways that are hard for them to do. And that's the feedback you're receiving. So what you've got to do is figure out what's easy for them to do. In your mind, in your Louise mind, you're like, just take a walk, count your steps. But for people who are sitting all day, every day, that's not easy.
Yeah, no.
Does that make sense? So it's not only about getting them involved in exercise, which may be level 2, level 3, but your goal is to get them involved in the conversation, stage 1. Yeah. So in order for that to happen, you need to get them doing what they're already doing, but with a focus on you.
Okay.
Does that make any sense at all?
Absolutely. Yes. I can see. So I already had an idea it was my perspective that was blocking things. I wasn't quite somehow moving, like I was hitting a bit of a barrier myself in terms of how to change this perspective. And you've just hit nail on the head, I think. So I can see I've been talking at them in my language, whereas actually I need to change the language and I need to change the situation that I present this challenge or the ways that they can get involved.
Exactly. So I don't think anyone out there will disagree with your point of view that physical exercise is really great for mental health and physical health. There's nobody out there in the world who will say, no, you shouldn't exercise. Find me one person. That person doesn't exist. Right? So your cause is the right cause, but you must meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And most people are not running 8 hours a day for 100 days, sleeping in a, whatever you call it. What did you call it?
A bivy bag.
I don't even know what that is. So, right? So people aren't there. But when they hear about it, it's quite an extraordinary feat that you're undertaking. And so the minute you go, I personally am going to be watching your journey. I'm going to be rooting you on from over here. And I'm going to be telling people, I spoke to her on my podcast. I know Louise Johnstone. And right. And that's going to create the conversation all the way in Canada. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Much more sense. Yeah. I think I'm trying to run before I can walk, as it were.
Well, you're good at running, so.
That's excellent. That makes complete sense to me. So now, I can totally work with that. I feel like that's a tangible perspective that I can really take away and actually utilize with different people in different situations.
Exactly. Now you're going to customize the way that they get involved. Now you're going to get all these different people getting involved the way that they feel great about getting involved. Stage 1 conversation. Maybe stage 2 is something a little bit more physical.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Great. I hope
Like
that was helpful.
absolutely, it's like magic. It's like a light bulb.
Fantastic. I'm so happy. Louise, it was so great to meet you finally in person after watching you on videos. It was a pleasure. You really are so compelling. I can't wait for you to get this thing going. And please, please, like, make sure we know about it so we can follow you, because we are going to all be rooting you on. So exciting. When are you going to start running, by the way?
So 1st of May 2021.
Okay, great. So we're going to be following you as you do that.
Thank you.
For those of you who are listening, if there's a challenge that you want to share on the podcast, please reach out to me. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. And if you have a challenge that you're not comfortable sharing on the podcast, please reach out to me anyways. My email address is kim@frameofmindcoaching.com. Louise Johnstone from the UK, thank you so much for being with me today and sharing your challenge.
Thank you so much for having me.